have a question for you guys. Do you lab your offense on the hash marks in Madden when you're creating it? Now, I'm going to repeat that question. Do you actually lab your offense on the hash marks when you are creating it in Madden 25? Now, we all know that there are one-play touchdown setups in Madden that work if you put your bunch to one side of the field or the other. Take, for instance, this one-play touchdown against the cover 3. But if for whatever reason you do not put this on the correct side of the field, you'll notice that your route combo ends up being busted because now the zones react a little bit differently and can make this potentially a closer throw, albeit we still were able to bomb it here in this regard. Notice the short side was much more open than the wide side. Well, a lot of players in this game don't realize that these same types of principles apply when you're working with underneath checkdown routes. My goal with this is hopefully you'll be able to run your offense so you don't just have a one-play touchdown and a prayer for a check down. You'll actually have a one-play touchdown with something you reliably know will be open in an area that the user won't be in. So make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel, hit that notification bell, get out your pen and pad, and let's get after it. So we're going to start off with this is a very simple concept here. I'm going to come out of what is called a 2x2 formation. This is just your arbitrary spread type formation, something that a lot of pro players would say, oh, this is a bad formation. But I'm going to show you principle wise how this behaves. And then we can hopefully install this into other formations or get a better idea of how it works based off of running our spread formations to the short side or the wide side. So I'm going to come out in any play, and we're going to start off with the most common defense in the game, which is basically a shaded down cover 4. Now, for most players, they'll run a blitz where they'll, set up, a ram the guard or maybe a crossfire with it. But we're going to kind of just start off here with your standard 2 hooks, 2 flats. And a concept that I'm going to throw on the field here is I'm just going to run hitches in post routes. Okay, so we're not going to leak the running back. This is a mirrored route combination. And I just want to show you how the zones react on the short side and the wide side of the field as it pertains our check down route, which is the hitch to Hester and the hitch to Olsen. You'll notice that when I snap the ball on the short side of the field, you're going to have this inside throw. And unless they have a KO ability on that player, that's going to be a completion every single time. However, on the wide side of the field, you notice that the hitch is going to be smothered by not only the hook, but also that flat zone. It's double teamed on the wide side of the field. And as a result, you see that I probably could have thrown the post route in behind that. So this gives us a better defined idea of, okay, well, when I face a cover 4 defense, if I run hitch post to the wide side of the field and hitch post to the short side of the field, most likely I will be able to throw the hitch on the left side, but I'll be looking for the post on the wide side of the field. So when we snap this ball, you're going to see that they bite down, and we just throw this in breaking route and possession catch it. And of course, you probably could modify that route combo a little bit, in which if you feel like that post is drifting too far upfield into a safety or an outside defender, you might go ahead and just run a custom stem dig that snaps off at maybe 10 yards, 11 or 12, somewhere in this vicinity. You'll get a very similar behavior where this route's going to break over the middle and boom, you're able to throw this. So we just installed a very, very simple 1-2 read against the cover 4, and we understand who's open on both sides of the field. Now, again, if you guys really like this video, make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel, but also make sure you guys take the time to head over to my strategy website, gridirongameplans.gg. Open in 2020, Gridiron is the #1 place to get better at Madden and also college football. For the low price of $9.95 per month or $14.95 if you bundle both games together, you get weekly updated vault content. This is curated content based off of the pro metas, or the most effective tactics available. For lack of a better way of saying it, this is what the pro players do, why it works, and how to counter it. You guys will get all vault tips and any additional vault tips uploaded while you're subscribed. In addition to that, you get all offensive and defensive game plans, and you guys get members only Discord access where you can ask questions of other Gridiron Game Plans members to improve at the game and attend lab sessions every single Wednesday at no additional charge. Make sure you guys take advantage of it. Best deal in the tip space. Now back to the video. So we understand that on the short side of the field, the hitch is going to be guarded not very tightly, but there is a chance that the flat zone defender could impact this if they have a KO. You see right here that there is a window where we could throw this. Most certainly, the thing we do know is that the hook zone on this side of the field is not going to guard that hitch. So one of the things that you guys should do if you're working with a concept where maybe you know your opponent is running this cover 4 hard flat style defense, but you want to have the ability to throw the ball to the post on the wide side, or maybe that dig route on the wide side of the field, but reliably get the hitch on the short side of the field open, you need to occupy that flat. So one of the things that we can modify is we don't really have any use for a post route to the X receiver. We know that it's guarded because the hook zone is going to sink on the short side of the field. Well, what we could do is maybe just hold that flat defender by putting a smoke screen on the field. Or if that's a little bit too close to the curl, you might even just put like a little custom stem out route that you stem down. This is just going to make that flat defender that was on the back of Hester the first time we threw that go out towards the sideline. And now we're in a situation where I can actually throw this reliably and pick up that yardage. And you see the KO did knock it out that time. Pretty easy way to open up that route. Or we're in this 2x2 formation, but we don't really have any use for the running back. Well, if we go ahead and flip this formation, we're still 2x2, but now the running back is to the short side of the field. We can do what's called a horizontal stretch with him by sending him to the flat on a table route or maybe a swing route. And then we can still snap off that dig route at the second level. I would probably take this up a little bit further because that hook in Urlacher drops deeper on the short side of the field. But then we can still go ahead and run the same concept on the wide side of the field. And now what we know is that we're going to have the post to Odunze on the wide side, the hitch to Olsen on the short side. And maybe if both those are covered or my opponent switch sticks and confuses me, Patterson ultimately will be open on the deep dig is our third read in the progression. So we snap this ball, A is open, B is open, and then later in the play, I could throw the ball to X. So again, this is all gonna kind of depend on how your opponent users. More often than not, your opponent is gonna be this hook or this hook. But the thing that you have to remember is that we know the behavior of the hook defenders if it's an AI player. So if they're guarding on this guy and maybe they sink out underneath of that post route to Odunze, like let's say that rather than being here, we back up into this area of the field, you're going to throw this route on time because it's open. However, if he sits down on this route, we obviously know that Odunze breaking over behind that is a down and inside pass lead for a first down as well. And then of course, if they're guarding on this linebacker, we know that they have to guard this hitch because it's open. So unless they bite down on this hitch, we're going to throw this hitch or the backside post because they're not on that side of the field. And then if it's all muddy, we revisit our third read in the progression, which is this route coming across the field. So we've got timing throws. We got the ability to get the ball out quickly here. We've got the ability to get the ball out quick, but not as quick as the hitch to Odunze on the break. And then the longer the play goes, we visit back here. And this is how you guys can build a check down offense within whatever you want. So let's go ahead here and apply this into maybe a trips look. Now trips isn't 2x2, but we know the rules of the slot hitch with the post behind it. And it's all predicated on which side of the field you're on, short or wide. So you've oftentimes heard people say, well, he's a wide side trips player, or he's a left side only trips player. There's lots of different players. Some players will always have their passing strength, which is the side with more receivers, to the wide side of the field. Some people only prefer their trips to be the left side of the field because that's just how their brain works. But let's apply what I was just breaking down. So one of the things that you will oftentimes see in this cover 3 meta, especially when your opponents start to shade down, is we know on the short side of the field, we have the ability to hold the flat with Patterson on maybe a smoke screen. So we do something like that. And then I'm going to put Odunze on the hitch and I'm going to run Hester on the post in behind it. So something like this. I could also modify that route to Hester and run maybe like a dig route that I custom stem up. This is up to you. But again, we know on this concept that we have the ability on the short side of the field when they're shaded down like that to make that throw based off of this being a trip style. Now, if we were to go to the wide side with this, again, we're no longer 2x2 and it's still a shaded down cover 4. Let's run that same concept. I'm going to run the hitch to B. I'm going to snap off a post to Hester. and then we do whatever we want on the short side of the field. And what do we see out of this coverage? This post route, right? So against the trips, when you shade down, they're going to play with more affinity to the hitch if it's the inside most receiver. But let's now go ahead and go back to our original concept, which is the outside receiver on a post or an in-breaking route, this player on the hitch, and then somebody that holds the flat. So again, if we do this here, you're going to see, oh, look, all of a sudden that hitch is open again. It's as simple as understanding that there are short side and wide side rules. And as long as you follow the numbering system, when we're talking about 2 by 2, if it's outside guy running the route in behind the hitch, that is the second guy, then you can throw that. The rules are applied the same. But if we go to a trips, you have to still follow that number system. To illustrate that again, if we have some sort of post hitch flat, we know that on the short side of the field, the hook will not guard that in a shaded down cover 3 or cover 4. So this is easy. You could throw this all day long. Your opponent will never, ever be able to guard this unless they man it up or user it. However, if we flip the formation, sometimes trips has a little bit of a different behavior. We would anticipate the rules of this trips to behave very similar to the spread set that we just ran, right? If I go X on the post, Y on the hitch, and then B on the flat, you would think, all right, well, this is wide side. What happened on the wide side? The hook played the hitch on the wide side. For whatever reason, when you're in trips to the wide side, you're now going to understand that Y is always open. When you're in a trip set, actually, the middle receiver on the hitch against a shaded down cover 3 or cover 4 is always going to be open. So what if we were to be in a trip set to the wide side of the field, running this same combo, but let's say for whatever reason, we decide to motion. Now what are we in? We're in 2 by 2, right? So will that shaded down cover 4 behave similar on that wide side hitch as it did previously? Yeah, basically. The only difference here is that the hook did not drift as far out because this guy is lined up closer to the numbers than he was in the spread formation. So again, to illustrate how much nuanced there is to short and wide side labbing, this is why I think so many players struggle in this game, is they don't have these simple, easy pitch and catch routes that they can rely on. So notice where Olsen is on this concept. He's lined up a good, I would say, 4 yards inside the numbers, compared to in our previous rep, we're basically 1 step away from the numbers. So you know that if you run this concept wide side, but your second receiver is almost on the numbers, the only player that can stop him is the flat defender. So at this point, you're actually in a much better position where if you're running a trip style offense and you want to motion away, you're going to be able to throw that no matter what, just due to the location of this guy. Obviously, you see right here, if I motion him to the inside, now all of a sudden he's much further inside. You're not going to be able to throw this. Like, he's going to be smothered by that hitch, right? So again, it's all about where that receiver is. There are general short side and wide side rules for your stock formations. But then when you start to apply this rule set to other formations, pay attention to where the guys are lined up and how far away they are from the offensive line, because the closer they are to the sideline, that hook becomes much less capable of guarding that route. So this is a very, very simple way to explain that you guys probably need to pay more attention to the way underneath zones behave on the short and the wide side of the field. I think a lot of players just take that for granted and they just think that everything's a slant and a drag and playmaker this and playmaker that, but you can create layups nonstop within your offense. And this is only going to feed towards you being able to move the ball effectively, because everyone knows the bomb formulas. When you think about the bunch tight end, you think about the PA verticals bombs. When you think about, you know, the bunch strong, you think about the flood play with the fade and the seam, and you know how it bombs cover 4 and cover 3. Players are used to defending that. What they're not used to doing is defending that while dealing with a competent check down offense. They're used to it being the same old, same old. And if you guys lab this for even 5-10 minutes, this video has been going on for about 18 minutes, give or take, you guys will, you know, be in a much better spot. Okay, so spend the time. it's well worth it. It'll lead towards your sanity. It'll lead towards your opponent's insanity at the same time. So I'm gonna get up out of here. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. If you don't mind, drop a comment below, subscribe, and check out gridirongameplans.gg. We'll see you guys tomorrow with our next video upload. Until then, this is Zan. Get the lab in. Good luck.